Hello, all. Greeting from Jersey Mike Serena. A little later than I had promised or expected, but I wanted to get a post up quickly after the game on the defensive issues for this team. And I just thought if I went live right away and I posted it later, then it'd be 4 o'clock on a Saturday and no one would care. Not that anyone would care anyway, but I thought there'd be a slightly bigger chance people would care if I wrote it earlier. It's on j.com right now. Give me a second. I just got to text my co-host. Live on the podcast if you need to join. Sorry. I lost Polity for a bit. He is here. He watched the game. He'll have a column tomorrow morning, I imagine, that people will want to read. But before we get into that, let's just kind of get into the game that we were here to watch. Rutgers loses 80-68 to Nebraska in a game that was never that close, aside from the first 10 minutes maybe, but Nebraska controlled it for most of the way. Nebraska looked like the significantly better team, which is to be expected for a top 10 team coming into Piscataway, a team that was 20-2 coming in here, a team with an elite offense that basically did whatever it wanted against Rutgers defense. And struggling Rutgers team that's off of a 6-game losing streak that's coming home after a long 5-day stretch in Los Angeles on a quick turnaround. So this was probably predictable. Rutgers did cover the 12.5. For what it's worth, Rutgers has now covered, for those who care, 6 of the last 8 games, which is remarkable. But you guys don't care about that because Rutgers lost. Let's go through the stats real quick. 80 Nebraska, Rutgers 68. The numbers that stick out to me that I know probably drive a lot of you crazy. Rutgers took 8 shots at the rim. 8 shots at the rim out of 56. 8 shots at the rim. And they shot 22 threes. So that means 30 of their 56 shots were non-rim twos, mostly mid-range, some of them just outside the rim. And that's just not optimal basketball. That's not modern basketball. It's been an issue all year. It's been an issue for much of the Peichel era. Steve asked Peichel about it in this game specifically, and he brushed it aside and said that sorry, folks. He brushed it aside and said that essentially the bigger issue was the turnovers his team committed and the defense it played. So Steve Peichel, I will try to get him to talk more on the subject, but he does not seem very interested in discussing shot selection. That doesn't really seem to be, again, based on his answer today, that is much of a concern on his part, or at least if it is a concern on his part, it doesn't seem to be high up the list. So that was a concern to me. The other concern was that defensively, they just could not keep up with Nebraska. Nebraska was moving the ball at will, driving to the. Sam Hoiberg, a former walk-on, who has made himself a good Big Ten player, I will, admit, he's driving to the rim at will past Tariq Francis on the second possession of the game. Rutgers really struggled to contain Nebraska defensively. As that's closed. I'm sorry, Polity. That is in frame. Steve Polity getting crushed by the lock of the refrigerator.
Why would you lock the refrigerator?
So that schmucks like you and I don't take one for the road.
How long have you been on already?
3 minutes and 45 seconds. I couldn't find you, and I didn't do what you did. Text me to find out where I was. I thought you had just went home, and I thought, let me just.
I should have, apparently. Hi, everybody.
So we haven't gone too deep into it. I talked about the stat of how they have 8 shots at the rim out of 56, and you asked Steve, and essentially his response was, well, we should have just not turned the ball over and played better defense. He didn't really seem interested in talking about shot selection.
No, he didn't. No. He didn't. And I guess I'm not surprised. We asked the question. I know a lot of people on the Discord want us to ask that question. We've asked the question. I think he did say the emphasis today was taking more 3-pointers. And they to defend the 3-pointer, gave up a lot of looks at the basket because of that. It's just a flawed defensive team. An offensive team all around.
Now, the thing is, yes, they have to take more 3-pointers, which he almost bristled at when he said that. Like, what do you have to do, take more 3-pointers?
Yes.
First of all, yes. And the issue is just not the amount of 3-pointers they take, which is not enough. It's the 3-pointers they create. A lot of these are step-in 3-pointers, stand 3-pointers. They're not doing what Nebraska does, and a lot of teams do. Nebraska does that at a high level. Other teams do it at a less high level. You move the ball. You cut. You create space. You get an open guy in the corner. for catch and shoot. They just don't do that often enough.
This is bad. This is a bad game right now for Steve Michael for a lot of reasons to play this opponent. And it's because not only does Nebraska have this beautiful style of basketball where they it's just fun to watch. Like you see it, you can see it unfolding in front of you. You see the ball movement, you see the screens, you see the moving without the ball, you see open shots at the rim, shots for three. It's all there. But also you see bargains and you see players. They're not spending a shit ton of money on this roster. You see the other part of it where it's not like watching Michigan when you're like, well, they're never going to afford that guy. Like or UCLA coming up, the teams they just played in the West Coast where you're like, all right, they've just got better players. Not to say Nebraska doesn't have better players, but they don't have, the $3 million portal guys. It's everybody I've talked to says they're at the bottom of the Big Ten in NIL, maybe more in Rutgers, but in the same area. And that's bad.
Bottom three is what we heard, right?
Yeah.
They're probably between Rutgers and Northwestern, maybe
Penn State.
Right. Rutgers, Penn State, maybe Northwestern is in that range because we don't know their numbers, but they can't be
right.
That
and everyone fudges it. I get it. Never gonna get the right number. But I believe the estimates. And we asked Fred Hoiberg back, and he was hilarious about it today. He's like, well, hard negotiated with my wife. Obviously his best player is his son.
Not his best player, but one of his key
right.
players.
Yeah. He was his best player tonight, I think.
Sure.
He was the most important. He's the glue to the team.
Sure.
He was distributing the ball, efficient, hit those shots, bring the call, runs the offense. He's a really good player. Yeah.
So here's what I would say to that. I 100% agree. Nebraska's not buying their team per se, right? They are hitting home runs. You have to hit home runs with analytics and finding guys that fit the puzzle, which is why I think this is. If you are a Rutgers fan that sees the glass full, not half full, 100% full, and thinks Rutgers could someday get back to what it was, that's what you want, right? You have to hope that Rutgers can take the money it has and find players that, one, fit the coach's system, albeit Fred Hoiberg plays a much more attractive style of basketball than Steve Michael, to put it lightly, but can essentially hit on everything, retain the players that you want to retain and develop with them, and make it all work, right? Like this is a year where everything came right for Nebraska. I don't know if it's a sustainable thing over the long haul for Nebraska, right? The way to be a sustainable program at a high level over many years is to have more money, right? When you're playing with the amount of money these two teams have, you have to have everything go right. This year it went right for Nebraska.
Yeah.
And for Rutgers to come anywhere close to that, they're going to have to bat better than whatever they batted this year, which is maybe 50, 100.
It's good. It's tough. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it is a fun team to watch. It was really, stark contrast, I guess it's because Rutgers is a very frustrating team to watch. The best way I could describe it. It's either hero ball from Francis. It's, a lot of just bad shots today, turnovers in the second half. It's just, and then, I was talking to someone coming out and it's also not that you're lacking that intensity, and it's not just being good on defense. It's being engaged and being want to rip the ball out of your hands. It's just that part of it too. It's not they're bad defensively, I think, because of it. They have inadequacies at the rim, obviously on defense. They have a lot of problems. They don't have good on ball defenders either. They're lacking a lot of defense, but they beyond that. It's an effort thing you don't see. That to me is even more jarring than some of the offensive stuff.
I think you could say this for both ends of the court to different extents, but this team has a very limited ceiling, right? No matter how well this team played, it has a very limited ceiling, right? But you saw in certain games defensively, the effort was there. They tried really, really hard against Oregon and Northwestern and Michigan State. The effort, the vintage effort was there, which is why I think Steve Michael wants to pull out whatever hair he still has on his head, watching games like today, where they just look like they're not trying. Again, I don't like to talk about effort, but sometimes it's so blatant that it's not at the level that they could reach.
Right.
And again, some of that is what I mentioned before he came in. They just played spent 5 days on the West Coast. They just came back overnight in the middle of the week, short layoff, whatever. Still, the bare minimum you could expect is a high effort to make up for the talent deficiencies.
Yeah.
And they haven't done that defensively. The other end, what I would say is if Fred Hoiberg had as much talent offensively as Rutgers has right now, they would play better offense than this Rutgers team does. Right? Like, I think some of the offensive issues are, yes, certainly the lack of offensive talent, but they're not going anywhere close to what they could be if they were coached in the proper way and if they ran an offensive style that wasn't essentially, here's our one ISO scorer, take the ball, unless there is a fast break opportunity, you take the ball, you go off either a screen or you dribble to the middle of the paint and you shoot the ball. Right,
Yeah.
that's the extent of the offense.
The other part of that is you're seeing a coach who identify players that fit the system he wants to run too. That's the other part of it. Like some of these players might not be as high a value someplace else because they fit into this. It's and they know it and they've been in it for a while. Like you can tell that. Like this is something in college basketball. You have a lot of teams that are spending a lot of money that aren't playing. Like Washington's going to be here, and if the teams like that do not have that same level of cohesion and understanding, and that it's still basketball, still team sport. It's still repeating things, it's habits, it's stuff like that. You absolutely see it with Nebraska. Like that's a team that they get out there. It's just like they know where the ball is going to go. Then we're supposed to go. They take advantage of mistakes. They make you pay for stuff. Yeah.
Well, that's coaching, that's continuity. They got a lot of guys back. Mass, their best player, is back. Sam Hoiberg is literally the son of the coach, so I'm pretty sure he has a good grasp of the system. They had a kid, their star freshman is from Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm sure he watched a lot of Cornhusker basketball growing up.
Right.
But again, it's the continuity, the retention that is the big part of that. I will say also, though, there are teams that are completely full of transfers that play really cohesive basketball. Michigan plays really freaking good basketball. Dusty Bay is an excellent coach.
Absolutely.
Again, the conversation is always this, because we can't be going back and forth in extremes. The conversation is this: money will not guarantee your success or lack thereof necessarily, but it will play a major part in that. Right. Just because you spend a lot of money doesn't mean you're going to win a lot of games, but it sure as hell makes it a lot easier to win a lot of games if you spend a lot of money and get a lot of good players.
Yeah.
Right. So
someone's taking a shot at you. I love this. Let's put this question.
Well, that's our friend. He calls me that every.
Yeah. Well, here I'm here. So I'm here with you, Toon, because we can talk about NIL, and you're right. Right now, today, Nebraska does not have the same level of budget that other programs have. But I mean, the 3-point thing is, that's silly.
Let me read a stat to you. I'm sure you're a big
Toom. It wasn't Toom. I thought he's going by
Tom B.
Tom B. That makes more sense than Toom.
I'm sure he's a big Ken Pom guy. Let me read you this. Rutgers shoots 35.8% of its shots on threes. That's 254th nationally. Rutgers concedes 38.6% of the opposing shots from three. That is 148th nationally, right? That is roughly a 3% difference. And I don't know how far you went into math class in high school or whatever. 3 is more than 2, right? And unless you're getting a ton of shots at the rim, easy shots at a high percentage, it's always more valuable to shoot more from 3 and make less than it is to shoot from the mid-range, right? You have to make 2 out of every 4. No, we have to make 3 out of every 6 twos to account for 2 out of every 6 threes, right? Whatever that math is. They figured that out in basketball about a decade ago. And also, the other thing is, Rutgers has to shoot more threes to catch up because they are allowing opponents to shoot 37.7% on threes. I just wrote this story. It's up. I'm sure Politi hasn't read it because he's been running around the rack. I'm going to read. This is Rutgers' defense is on pace, and this is kind of an aside. They're on pace to have the worst defense under Steve Peichel for the second straight year. They rank 179th nationally in adjusted defensive efficiency. They rank 303rd nationally in defensive rebounding rate. They rank 342nd nationally in opposing 3-point percentage, 140th nationally in 2-point percentage. And turnovers, they have the lowest turnover rate under Peichel, only 16.4%, and the lowest block percentage. So what do I mean by all that? They can't do anything right defensively. It's not that they're really bad in one area. Okay, they don't have a center. They can't block shots or whatever. They can't do anything. They don't turn the ball over. They can't rebound. They can't block shots. They cannot do anything defensively.
Right.
And then they can't do anything offensively either.
All those good teams had 2 of the best defensive players in Rutgers history, right? Caleb McConnell and Cliff up in the middle. One of the best rim protectors in Rutgers history, and arguably the best defensive player. I can't go all the way back. You have some people tell us about the best teams in the old days, but Caleb McConnell was certainly an elite defensive player
for most of those seasons. The 23-24 season, they did not have Caleb McConnell. They had Cliff Omori. Their starting guard was Noah Fernandez, and they were 5th nationally in defensive efficiency.
That's amazing. I didn't know that. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Either good. Cliff Omori is the greatest rim protector of all time, which is certainly possible. He was 3rd nationally in block percentage that year. And top 100 in defensive rebounding. He could have made up for a lot of that, but
yep. Oh yeah, it's a good point. That's a great point. I wouldn't have guessed that team. I would not have guessed that team. It's good.
I think part of that is they had more height. They had more Mag, whatever, to a certain extent. He barely played that year. Paul was not on that team.
Paul was not on that team either?
No, the 23-24 team, which was the year before the year when they were bad, but you kind of accepted that they were bad because next year's the year.
Oh,
next
right.
year They sucked, right?
Yes.
But they did have Andre Hyatt. They had Derek
Andre Hyatt was
Simpson.
a good defensive
Derek
player.
Simpson is 6'3", which is not that
I
tall.
remember him being a good defensive player.
Well, he's just taller than Tariq Francis and Michael Davis, which makes a big difference.
Right.
Having smaller guards is such a deterrent defensively.
Fernandez was
He was 5'11", right? But
okay.
the point is they had more size.
Right. Mag was an elite.
But he barely played that year. But
Right.
point taken. They had better personnel. I agree with you totally.
All right.
Let's go
Move
through
on.
the.
Yes. Why are we talking about a team from 3 years ago?
To show that they've gotten worse
Right.
defensively, and they didn't have great personnel that year aside from Cliff. But Dr. Josh Fink, who I believe is the same guy on our Discord, who was sitting courtside. Good seats, Doctor. You got to let us know about that experience. Holy ISO Batman, time to design a few plays. You guys have been watching Rutgers basketball probably longer than I have. Certainly the entire Steve Pikiell era. We got to stop acting surprised at what we're watching. Our friend Linda Conroy, who came over to the press box once again to say hello and met Mr. Politi for the first time, I believe. Thank you, Linda, for coming over.
Patriots. Who roots for the Patriots? Come on, Linda. Who roots for the Patriots?
Go Hawks.
He's wilding over here.
I'm rooting for ethical football. I'm rooting for the Emerald City Route Runner. Over under 2 more wins the rest of the season. I'll go. Let's just do up 1.5. And that's the problem. Over under 1.5.
Over. Easy.
Let's read the last 7 games. Versus Maryland, at Penn State, at Minnesota, versus Washington, at Maryland, at Michigan State, versus Penn State.
Yeah, they played 6 bad teams and Michigan State.
So they're not going to beat Michigan State.
Right. Rule that out. You got 6 chances to get 2 wins. Yeah, I'm going to take in the over on that.
They're not going to beat Minnesota. Minnesota just beat Michigan State at home.
Michigan's not great, though.
Michigan State?
That's the second hardest team they play. Gotcha.
Right. So now they play 4 games against Maryland and Penn State and 1 against Washington, who is 44th in Ken Palm. They're not. The record is terrible, but
more talented team. Yeah,
they're a more talented team. So over under 1.5. I guess I'll go over just because the number. Now I guess the more interesting question I guess would be 2.5.
Yep, do 2.5. Yep.
All right, let's do 2.5.
Still going over.
I'll go under.
You're going under. You're going to say 2.
I'll go under because you think you would expect them to win then 3 games against Maryland and Penn State because I don't think they're being watched.
Are we counting the whatever game they get in the Big Ten tournament or just a regular season?
Regular season.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still going over.
I'll stay under. I'll stay.
5. Who knew I'd be optimistic at 5?
Yikes. J-Mac, who also came over and
this is we could just have this conversation in this room, you guys.
Correct. Shockingly, I don't know if it's as shocking for you guys as it is for me. J-Mac is not Jason McCourty. I thought he was tuning into our live stream after every game, and
Looks
I was
just like him. Though.
It does, yeah. I was real fired up about it, but still excited about you, J-Mac. Great to see you as well. Like a broken record, outclassed by Nebraska, not a talented team that they execute with precision. I 100% agree. Right?
Totally.
Anything?
No, I can't. Yeah, excellent.
Kiri, who's not here, says Politi.
Okay. Thanks. Appreciate it.
We'll pass this name along to the coaching staff. Gio Panzini. He fits in with the New Jersey ethos. I don't know how good he is at basketball, but it sounds like he's a Jersey guy. Shoots well.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Okay, sure.
NJ Shore Fishing says Nebraska clearly had a unified vision of what to do. RU players playing for the transfer portal, no movement, no communication, no heart on D, no anger when they get bullied. Passive response.
Yeah, that would be the thing I'd be the thing I'd be second most frustrated about would be just that feeling that they're just not playing with that same physicality, passion. I mean, it would almost like Hoiberg came in and after the game was talking about what he expected to see in some ways. And he's like, they out-toughed us last time we were here. I was like, well, he didn't do it this time, coach. Sort of, it's just not the same thing. The building was disengaged almost right away. No reason to get people excited about that. I mean, it's just, yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
Couple points. They're disengaged because of the One Piece thing, because the scalpers, the leeches who are finally leaving this building and who I have not seen steal any cards just yet. They're finally going to be out of here. They could care less about the game. So
Linda and Marty had One Piece cards.
I hope they sell it on eBay for a lot of money. I hope they do. And I hope they didn't sell it to any of those.
I tried to pocket Linda's and she wasn't having it. Wasn't having it. Sorry.
It's all good.
My son wanted one. I was going to sell it.
You should have made him buy a ticket for $200. And the other thing, this is another press conference where the opposing coach, after his team beats the brakes off of Rutgers, goes into the press conference and says, I have a lot of respect for Steve Pikiell. Like, it's the sympathy tour through the Big Ten for Steve Pikiell. And I just can't imagine that's a good sign or a good feeling in the locker room to kind of just get your head patted after every blowout loss, right? We're getting into Eddie Jordan territory in that respect, as far as where Rutgers stands in the Big Ten, where they're so harmless that opposing coaches can feel like they can pat the team on the head. So you said that was the second most concerning thing. What was the number one most concerning thing?
I mean, just that there's that. I don't know if it's a concerning thing. Was that it certainly the money is not for me. It's just not an excuse alone. That's the thing you come up with when you see what a team can do with the right philosophy and the right coaching and the right personnel with a lower end budget. No matter where it is, it's not Michigan's budget. That to me is where you get the frustration. If I'm a fan, I'm very frustrated by that. And I don't think a lot of fans knew it. And I assume we were talking about it. It's funny, before the game, I had just assumed I assumed like a lot of other teams around the country you get that cash infusion, you go on the portal, you get a bunch of guys. And they did. They got Kif from Iowa, they got some players, but not in the way that other programs have. Like it was a very purposeful. They hit on the guys they did got a guy back from injury, got the lucky sperm club with their own son. Like there's stuff that I get it. There's a lot of luck there, right?
That's an all-time quote on the podcast.
Thank you. That's good.
I hope someone clips that.
Yeah.
I agree. I 100%.
Frustrating if you're a fan. It's just frustrating to see that. Like, why is this team? Why? And it's not be one thing if one team was, here's one team's 9 in the country. The other team's gonna finish 168th in KenPom. That's frustrating.
Correct. The gap should not be that wide. This is not a transfer portal built team. From Nebraska, I'm saying, right? They got most.
Correct.
The floor of their team was built off of retention and smart freshman additions, and
yes,
and then the transfers accentuated, which I think is what Rutgers wants. Obviously, I don't know how much of a foundation there is with the 7-person freshman class. If you asked me, if all 7 of them left, I don't think Rutgers was worse off for it. We can discuss a little bit later in the year which guys they should try to keep or not. But yeah, I agree. The thing is that, as we talked about before, the transfer portal pursuit that Rutgers is going to have this offseason, because I am of the belief they're going to have to replace essentially the entire team out of the transfer portal. They have one guy in their high school class. They're not going to have another 7-person high school class, right? So if you're going to replace a lot of players on this team, you have to do an earnest, strong, wide net analysis of the players that are out there, what you want, who fits, etc. You cannot get Darren Buchanan, who you recruited in high school. You cannot get Byfall, who you recruited in high school, and despite the fact he never played in 2 years, you bring him in for a shot. And you can't bring in Tariq Francis, who is literally the family friend of one of your assistant coaches, right? You got to, much like we talked about Greg Schiano, finding someone outside of his network, Rutgers is going to have to bring in guys that are good, no matter whether they have a connection to the coaching staff or not. Right? They just have to get players that fit what they want to do, that are of higher skill, of higher talent, and they have to figure a way out to get the puzzle piece right. They have to spend a lot of money at center, no doubt about it. They got to spend most money of any position at center, because this program under Pico clearly cannot function without a proper center. They have to get a guard who could score and who can kind of maneuver the offense, and they need to get role players that can accentuate all of that. Essentially, they have to get a competent team together out of the portal. Why are you skipping all the? I don't know.
I'm sorry.
No, I know you're reading, but we're letting everybody that comments in. I'll put this one in briefly. We already discussed my Tom B. Deep in debt and most teams underperforming. I'm assuming this is about the entire athletic department.
Yeah.
Factually correct. I mean, you have anything to add?
I mean, seems about right. I don't know. Yeah.
But
yeah. Okay.
The wrestling program did beat number 6 Minnesota, so there are good days ahead, I guess, at that program. KC says that we have to start holding these coaches more accountable at press conferences. Way too soft with questions. This is a disaster. Call it like you see it.
I am just so tired of these. I'm so tired of this one. Sorry, KC. I just would love. I would love some internet tough boys to come in here and ask better questions. I mean, go show me how it's done. Like, what do you want? What are we gonna ask? What are we gonna ask?
Type in the chat what you would ask.
Steve, why does your team suck? And that's what you guys want to hear, but this is not how it works. It's not, this is not, I don't know,
It might be cathartic if, for example,
great.
I grabbed the microphone, went to the stage, and just pummeled Steve Pico in the head.
I asked him today. I tried to ask a very pointed question about philosophy. You took 8 shots at the rim, 22 shots from behind the arc. That means 46 of your shots were from someplace else. Is that a sustainable
46%.
offensive? 46%. Is that a sustainable offensive philosophy? That's the question I ask. You saw the answer.
Correct.
Like, I don't know what to do. Like, I can't go up there and make him say, like, "Oh, Steve, you're right. We should." Like, I can't answer the question for him. I can only ask. Like, we can't ask after every game. We know he's coming back, so we can't ask, "Steve, is your job in jeopardy?" It is not. Like, it's. I understand you're frustrated. You want someone to go up there, but yeah, it's just not. It's not like football where we can say, "Why'd you call a timeout?" And we can ask, "Why was your team?" Like, it's like a different sport too.
Yes, I understand it's fan frustration, and I think sometimes you get so frustrated you lash out at everyone, and we kind of are in the splash zone. I get it, and is it possible that we ask more pointed questions? Sure, I would say two things. One, I think Steve and I, in general, are asked probably more pointed questions than anyone else. I feel fairly comfortable saying that. Actually, very comfortable. And two, right? What questions you want us to ask that we should have asked? And sometimes when I ask that challenge, fans actually do give me good questions, but you can't expect Steve and I to go up there and essentially say what you said. Steve, why does your team suck? Steve, why don't you guys shoot more threes? Steve, and the other thing is exactly what you said. We can only control what we ask. We don't control what they say. And look, again, we're not beyond criticism.
I'll tell you, I thought there were some. Actually, it's funny you say that because I thought Craig asked a good question. I thought two of us had good questions. I thought there were informational questions we have to ask, like why is Lena Mark hurt, like stuff like that. People think you need information too. Like we had 8 questions, and I don't think there's any that you're like, ooh, why'd you ask that?
Yeah, I sometimes there are legitimate softballs in these press conferences.
Of course,
I didn't think today was a particularly softball press conference.
We don't go up and hug them like the Jacksonville Jaguars, but for that controversy, we're not giving them pep talks. You hang in there, young man.
Don't get me started. We're not beyond criticism. Obviously, it's not no problem. You guys can put this in every chat from now on.
Of course.
But what I do want to say, I love it when the team sucks. We're not hard enough, and when the team is good, if I ask any question that isn't, "Oh my God, Steve, when are they going to build your statue?" It's like, "Why are you guys so mean to my team?"
And it is funny. It is a complete 180. In a lot of ways, since I've been covering, this would be a good column. Like since I've been covering this team, when I had the reputation, like 20 years, I don't know, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, just you're so negative, you do so over, you suck, you're so negative. It has gone the exact opposite way. Like somehow I have become a homer. Like I feel like I'm the same person. It's just very strange. Like it is turned. This the attitude. I don't know if the attitude of society, it's the attitudes about these two coaches, the programs in general. It's interesting though, right?
It's essentially where the team is at. If the team, we are at the same baseline, I like to think. But if the team is good, we're being too negative. If the team is bad,
maybe that's what it
positive. The team needs to be bang average, and then we can meet right in the middle because no one will care, right?
Just keep clicking. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. And keep watching, keep liking, keep subscribing, keep staying at the Hellgate Hotel, the best hotel in downtown New Brunswick. Beautiful, pleasant downtown New Brunswick. Stay 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights, 10 nights. I don't care. Go to the Hellgate Hotel, downtown New Brunswick. Stop at the Helix. Say hello to Steve Politi, who will be recording podcasts at will over there. 10 podcasts a day to keep the lights on.
See if they get a room at the Hellgate.
Thank you to Chris Palladino, Devco, for the sponsorship, the Hellgate Hotel. Jay Bender says, I didn't even think about tuning this game in. Send Mike to South Korea. I'm glad he picked the right Korea to learn their free throw shooting coach. It'll be a better use of time.
Oh, there's a reason? There's a South Korean free throw shooting coach?
Maybe he has to send an email. Instead of sending Steve Peichel an email of why his team is bad at free throws, these kinds of suggestions might be helpful. Maybe Rutgers will take a summer trip to Seoul, maybe stop in Pyongyang and learn a little bit about free throws. Again, free throws, I think, are more recruited than coached. The fact they don't hit that many they don't hit free throws at a high enough rate, which, let me fact check here, but I'm pretty sure this is still the best free throw shooting team under Steve Peichel. It is. This is literally the best free throw shooting team under Steve Peichel, the best free throw shooting team at Rutgers in the Ken Pom era. Wow. That's what you're watching right now, and you're complaining about it. I'm joking. It's recruited. Get good players that can shoot. Tariq Francis is shooting 90% on free throws.
They didn't get to the line enough tonight. That's because they're playing against a team that was very disciplined, and the foul call they were letting them play. So
yes, 89.4% on free throws, Tariq Francis. So just get more Tariq Francis's, I guess, as far as free throw wise. Richard Williams says, "Help, Kelly's in. This drives me nuts. For the love, learn how to spell the AD's name. I've seen her name spelled so many different ways, and it drives me nuts. Keli. Kelli, not Kelli, not Kelly.
Richard made a typo here. It's okay. You're gonna be a little bit okay.
I am bullying Richard for the sake of everyone because
I got mad at people generalities about our questions. Now we're gonna bully Richard for making a typo.
I think it's a sign of disrespect that you're asking this one person to save the athletic department you love, and you can't take the courtesy of writing her name right. I know it's a little unorthodox, but just write her name right. It just really bothers me.
Apparently, gosh, Richard, sorry, he's never gonna come back. We lost one of our 36 viewers.
It's just that people misspell my name with a Y. It drives me nuts. Right. So maybe Kelly doesn't give a shit, but I give a shit. Linda says that she won a Court Club Patriots McCourty helmet a few years ago. Ask our friend J-Mac in the chat. Maybe he could sign it for you, and we can all pretend he is Jason McCourty. South Korean team shoot 80+% from the line. Jay Bender, thank you for that fact. I had
the more you know. Hey, did you know this before we go on?
Sure.
Did you know this is important that University of South Dakota, where the new defensive coordinator is from, is further away from Mount Rushmore than Rutgers is from Montreal. You're not as impressed with that fact as I am. Think how far they are. It's all the way in this little corner down here. And Mount Rushmore is here. There you go.
Okay. I hope our bosses hear this and they commission a trip for Steve to first drive from Piscataway to Montreal, catch a flight to Bismarck or whatever. That's the wrong. What's the South Dakota capital?
Pierre.
Sioux Falls, Pierre, and then do the
Sioux Falls is where it's closer to Vermilion. Is what the.
Well, we're talking about the North, South Korea, and North and South Dakota.
People are going to tune out.
This might be the actually most entertaining part of our live shows, to be honest. James Barnes can't trust Pikel's leadership anymore. He wasted the talent with Bailey and Harper and can't put a winning team together. You are your record. Well, if you are your record, the rebuttal from some people would be look at the first, the 3 or 4 successful years he had. I guess the way you want to phrase it is you are your most recent record, which has been going like this over the past 3 years.
Yep.
I think that not the death warrant necessarily, but the beginning of the end was when they went 15-17 with Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, and barring them making a Final Four run in the next couple of years, I don't think the stink of that will ever leave him, unfortunately for him. Linda says eBay tonight. That's right. And don't get lowballed. Don't you dare get lowballed. Martin Conroy says there's not what is this Linda's husband? If so, Marty, my friend,
jumping in,
I appreciate it. There is not one good two-way player on the whole team. Coming in hot. I agree with that. I mean, Dylan Grant, the abstraction.
It's only 3 good offensive players, so I could end it pretty quick.
Fair.
Yeah,
I would say the abstraction of Dylan Grant, what we thought he could possibly be before.
He's been neither good offensively nor defensively, so no, he's not a good two-way player.
I agree with you. I'm saying if he lived up to the high expectations we had before the year, then maybe. Obviously,
close as this tree, but he's not. Yeah,
he'll never be a good defender. He's not big. He's not big enough.
Right.
He's not big.
He plays with some. Yeah, right.
He plays hard, but he's just not good enough. And not tall enough, I should say, which he can't control. Why would any transfer portal players want to play under Pikel? Rutgers pay an obscene amount of money for talent. I would agree. Most places have to pay an obscene amount of money for talent, and I would agree that some of that you can overcome with an interesting system or proof of concept of bringing guys to the NBA or other selling points.
Well, they've got 2 guys in the NBA, so they got to check that. They didn't get him there, I know, but they can take them. I think the other part is that he's a likable person. I think during the recruiting era, when you were still recruiting players and building through relationships, people like Steve Pikel, and he was very good at. You're discounting it. He was very good at that. He got players to come here when it was not fashionable by relationships, by hard work, by effort. I think we are discounting what Steve Pikel was good at. Unfortunately, no, it's no longer important, and as important as people go to Washington, some of these places sight unseen because of the big check. So why would they come here? Money. It's going to have to be money.
Yes. And even if you have to pay a little bit of a tax to justify it, and it's going to be, again, Rutgers is not going to outspend most teams for a player that's like a top 200 player. This is going to be about finding enough of these hidden gems, these players in the 250 to 500 range that are not the top tier, but fit what they want to do here at Rutgers and are better than what they have. I think those players are out there, and you might have to pay a little bit more money, but they're going to have to find them. The other, just to add to your point, in fairness to Steve Pikel, you got Paul Mulcahy, who was a good player in New Jersey, and he got Cliff O'More, who was a really good player in New Jersey, and those guys were the foundation of the best years in program history. So
Ron Harper
Jr. was that was more of a scouting win in that no one was scouting him. Okay. No one was scouting him. I'm saying though,
they got Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, okay.
The difference between those two guys and the other guys that I'm mentioning are they actually won with the other guys. They didn't win with those two guys. Which, I mean, you guys can tell me I'm wrong. I think the fact they didn't win with those two guys almost makes it worse. You almost would rather not have those two guys, right? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I would rather have them than not have them. 100%.
I think if you knew how it would go down, you would not want them. That's my thought. This team makes me want to watch Wrexham. I desperately need to believe in a team. I don't even like Wrexham. I'm not a fan of Wrexham and the whole project. I don't like turning.
I tried. I couldn't get into it. It was kind of boring to me.
I just don't.
It was about soccer. I can't. No, it would have been gracious. I wasn't interested. I didn't get into it.
I just don't
Did
think
they make it to the Premier League? What happened?
They're still in the championship, which is the second division.
Gotcha.
I just don't like the same way I don't like when Qatar or Saudi Arabia buys a team and essentially, wins a championship with money.
College sports is the same thing now. How could you say that?
Right, but Saudi Arabia has a lot more money than even the richest donor at Rutgers. Think about the five richest Rutgers grads of all time. If they put all their money together, that's maybe 6 months of budget for the Saudi prince. Like it's not even close. And obviously Ryan Reynolds and the group that bought Wrexham aren't that rich. My point is, when you're commercializing your championship, your run to the Premier League on Netflix, I just don't like that. I'm glad whenever Wrexham loses.
Weird thing to be mad about.
I'm not mad. I'm not just yelling about Wrexham all day. It just came up in the chat. My God. I was called a Debbie Downer yesterday by someone close to me, and I think it's very fair. But I just don't like Wrexham. How much of that failure falls on the offensive system implemented by the staff, and why should fans trust that offensive creativity will improve? That's one of the stories I plan to write soon and look into. Because yes, even when they had better offensive players, if they were successful, it was in spite of the system, right? They have had multiple years where they've had one creative player on offense, Corey Sanders, Tariq Francis, Gio Baker, and they put the ball in his hands and said, "Here, get a bucket." Think about it. Even their best offensive teams, Ron Harper, Gio Baker, Miles Johnson was a solid offensive player. I just don't remember Rutgers having a particularly exciting, explosive, dynamic offense.
It was exciting last year,
but that was in spite of the system. It was exciting because Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey are uber talented.
Okay,
right.
Yeah. So there you go. In spite of the system, maybe. Yeah, absolutely.
If I was the coach,
yes.
Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey would be hitting tough shots and getting to, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's a fair question, and that's one of the main questions here, because once we get past the initial layer of money, right, which we agree like it's part of the problem, not the whole problem, the next question is then, yes, even if they get better players, will they be able to be maximized with the system and this coaching staff? Mm-hmm. That's a totally fair question that will determine the trajectory of next year. Goldie says the two questions you both asked today were great and actually led to some interesting comments today. It was rather illuminating. Please keep that up because it's not just an NIL issue. Thank you, Goldie.
Thank you, Goldie.
Thank you.
We try. I'm going to get here next time. It's like, Coach, do you love your wife? Because if you ask a really hard question, next time I'm here, it's going to be the ultimate softball of all time. Like, what do you love about Rutgers, Steve?
Tough one today, Steve. But
tough one. You guys played hard though. Hang in there. Keep your chin up, Coach.
How about the crowd, Steve? 94 straight sellouts. How about that? No other place in the country does that. Have you lost the ability to build a consistent team identity, or is this simply a case of poor talent evaluation in the portal? There is something to be said about poor talent evaluation. I think they've been missing on their talent evaluation for years now. Really.
Yes, I think I would love to know. I would love to have been in those meetings. I think there's a couple things. Obviously, the resources, but cross that out. If you only had X number of dollars to spend, I think what they did last year, where they had two great players and spent zero on the rest of the roster, and they vowed not to do it this time, and instead they have 12 mediocre players. That would be right. That would be sort of my analysis, right? Well, how did that happen?
They didn't spend all the money on the Dylan and Ace. They did spend it on the rest of the roster, but
you know what I'm talking. They had right, but they put all they did go resource heavy on those two guys.
Sure.
We don't know what the number was, but they did not. They weren't giving Zach Martini,
Well, they didn't have a lot of money, so whatever they did give Zach Martini was not a lot. I just even before NIL became a prominent thing, high school recruiting was a bit of a disaster. I mean, Jalen Miller, Derek Simpson wasn't exactly a hit. Antoine Woolfolk, who's doing great now at Miami of Ohio, but Dean Reber, and there were a lot of misses. And I would agree that in the portal evaluation, Jordan Durkak, not a Big Ten player. Who else do they have? Jeremiah Williams kind of worked out, kind of didn't work out.
Take him right now. He plays 30 minutes right now.
I don't know if I want him back on this team. Zach Martini wasn't particularly great. Probably not at this level.
He played 20 minutes right now.
Well, that says more about this team than last year's team. Richard Williams says, "My bad.
Yeah,
Sorry
please.
for going so hard on you."
I mean, yes, I'm sorry, Richard. It's okay. It's all right. People make mistakes. Don't you keep your head up here.
But just make sure you spell her name. Linda says, "Keep up the good work. You've been reading Polity for years. So have I. Honest and unbiased. Appreciate you, Linda."
Certainly.
Montreal's a great city. I've been there for spring break, if you could believe it. It's a spring break in Montreal, which was not the smartest thing of all time.
Quick drive. Only apparently 6.5 hours. Could go there for
Not bad.
Who knew?
Now I just watched the game so I can contribute to the show. Best post-game show out there. Controlled anger, passive aggressive. I like that. I'm putting that in my resume.
I like it.
And hilarious.
I'll take it. Hilarious. Absolutely. Thank you. That's a compliment on all levels.
Yes. And the other word I would put in here is way too freaking long.
Let's get out of here. I gotta go home. I gotta drive home. It's cold.
Yes. So thank you guys for
Write a
participating.
column on this. I'll tease it. I did talk to Steve Michael alone for half an hour. It was interesting. So I'll have a column either Monday. I don't know. We'll see.
Tomorrow's a Super Bowl. Maybe we'll
Maybe.
they will enjoy the Seahawks pummeling the Patriots. But anyway, thank you guys for listening and watching. We'll have a podcast, I'm assuming Monday, maybe not. I don't know. I just don't like making promises because sometimes we just don't do it. So, but let's assume we'll have a podcast Monday morning. Until then, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you all soon.